Welcome to today's Laravel tip on how to send emails with only one Mailable. So as you can see, we have fresh new Laravel application installed. As you might know, to send emails in Laravel, you need to generate Mailables. So let's do this. Yeah, I'll take one from the documentation. So I've generated a Mailable, order shipped. So as you can see that it has default methods. And the thing is that with every email we have to have one Mailable class, and also we need to have one view, blade view file. And when the project is growing, the number of those files are also increasing. And to solve that, we've created a tool called Templid. So this is the place where you can manage all your templates and reach those templates using RESTful API. So let me show how we can implement it in our Laravel application. So the idea is to have only one Mailable class and no blade templates at all. So let's generate one more Mailable class and let's call it transactional email. Let's open this. Okay, so we will remove some parts of this class. Okay. First, we'll add an envelope DTO. So to set envelope, we will use envelope DTO and we'll set it to null. We don't need the construct method. And here we are going to use following code. So in our envelope, we will return empty envelope in case there is no envelope DTO set, or we'll set all the parameters from the envelope DTO to the envelope. By doing so, we will be able to set the different parameters dynamically on the fly whenever we need to send a transactional email. So we don't need to create every time new Mailable class. Next, let's add a method called setContent. It is a custom method that will allow us to set the HTML and plain text to the email content. Because when we are fetching email data from the template, we will get the raw string for the HTML and for the plain text. And here you can see if there is no plain text, we set only HTML. And in case we have HTML and plain text, so Mailable class has this view property that can have HTML and raw for the plain text. And for the HTML, we need to set class HTML string. So let's import it. And one more public method to set envelope. Okay, we're done with this. So now let's create this envelope DTO. We'll go to our app and add one folder. Let's call it DTO and create new file called envelope DTO.php. All right. So in this DTO, we'll have constructor where we will set all needed parameters to our email if we want to. And then we'll have public methods to get all our properties from this DTO. So get from, get to, get CC, get BCC, get reply to, get tags, get metadata, and get using. Okay, let's save it and we can close it. Now let's import it to our transactional email, and also we can close this one. Let's create one more DTO. We'll call it template DTO. So we'll use this DTO to set the parameters for our template. So after we fetch the data from the API, we'll get the subject, we'll get the HTML, and we'll get the plain text. So we'll need to set these properties into this DTO to pass it later to our template. And also let's add public method to get these properties. So we have get subject to return the subject, get HTML to return the HTML, and also get text to return the text. Let's save it, close. Next, let's create the fetcher to fetch our template from the template API. So let's create a new folder and call it fetcher. And inside this fetcher, we'll add the class called template fetcher. Okay, good. So first, let's add then an API endpoint. So we'll call it API URL. And as you can see, it's simple endpoint to render a template from the template. And here we'll set a template ID from our dashboard. I'll show it later how it will look like. Next, let's set two parameters, one for request and another one we'll create later. It's validator, so we'll validate our response from the API. Next, let's create fetch method, which will accept template ID and the collection for our data that we want to set to our template. And as you can see, it will return template DTO that we have created earlier. Good. So we also need to create one more method here, send request. Okay, so inside this send request method, we'll set again template ID and also the data, but now it should be array, because when we'll set this the request, it accepts only array, not collection, and we'll return response. In this method, we'll fetch the template and we'll validate it and retry in case we have rate limit, and maximum retries will be 3. Now, from the URL above, we are constructing our final URL. And now in the do while loop, we are trying to create a request. So we are doing request with token. By the way, yeah, we've set token to our env file called template token. So this will set bearer token to our request. And also we need to do the post request, so we set the URL and the data that we want to be set in our template. I'll show it later how it will look. And also we need to validate our response and catch the rate limit exception. We'll log this, we'll sleep for 1 second, and we will retry request one more time. And in case we'll have 3 attempts unsuccessful, we'll throw an exception, like general exception, with the message unable to fetch template. And here we need to create two more classes. One is for rate limit exception and one for validator. Inside the fetcher folder, let's add one more and call it validator. And inside this folder, let's create the new file called Templid fetcher response validator. So this will be the simple class with one method called validate. So this validate method will accept response, and we will validate the response status. And in case we have status other than 200, we'll throw an exception, and in case the exception will be different, with different message. So as you can see, this is the one we need. It's called rate limit exception. When we face the response status 429, that means we've faced rate limit exception. So let's go and create this exception class in our app. So inside the exception, let's create a simple class called rate limit exception.php. This will be a very simple class that extends exception and nothing inside it. So we need this only to validate our response inside this response validator. Okay, now let's import those classes, and here, so our fetcher is ready to go. Good. So next let's create a builder that will build our Mailable. So in our app, let's create a folder called builder and add new file inside this folder and call it transactional Mailable builder. So here's our class. This class will have construct method that will accept fetcher. So this fetcher will fetch the data from the API and also will add transactional email, so our Mailable class, and we'll set the data from this fetcher. And one more method, we'll call it build. So we'll have the build method that will accept, again, template ID, the data we want to set to our email, and also envelope DTO that will be set to our Mailable class. And this method will return Mailable class. So as you can see, so we are fetching template. So using our fetch method, we're setting all the needed parameters, and we're returning transactional email. Also, we're setting subject. So if we'll go to our transactional email, you can see that there is no subject method, but it is in Mailable class. So as you can see, it is the Mailable has subject method, public subject method that can be used to set the subject. So we'll use it in our builder to set the subject. And this one is template DTO. So we have three methods. So get subject, get HTML to set the content, and get text to set the plain text. And also we're setting envelope to our transactional email Mailable, and we're returning this Mailable. Okay, so with this transactional Mailable builder, actually we are ready to send our emails, so we can try it out. So let's go to our web routes and add our builder, import class, and simply build our Mailable. Alright. So as you can see here, we are building our Mailable. So we are setting template ID. So if we are going to our dashboard in our template, we have ID number 3, that is tutorial template payment receipt. We can view it. So we have a subject, here we have amount, and after we have HTML body, and also we have simple text like plain text that will be used in our email. So yeah. So we are setting template ID number 3, and also we are setting the list of parameters that should present in our email. So we have name, amount, date, and method. If you remember, it is payment receipt. So, and the last one is like mail function. So let's write to send Mailable, and let's send it to john.com, and let's try it out. So refresh our homepage. Okay, let's go to Mailtrap, and as you can see, so the subject of our email, the amount was replaced with our data, and here is the design of our template. So the purple ones, the parameters that was replaced, so the John Doe, the amount, the payment method, and the date that was submitted from our Laravel app. And also we have text, simple text, that was also filled with our data. But as you can see, we are using mail function to and sending the Mailable, but it takes some time because mails are quite slow. Of course, we can use here method called queue, but still we'll need to wait for our template to be fetched, and in case there will be retries, it might take some time. So what we are going to do, we are going to create a queue job. So let's write the comment PHP artisan make job, and let's call it transactional email. I know that it should be like a job title, but because we'll use it anywhere in the code, so it will be easier to understand what this class is doing. Okay, and transactional email inside the jobs. So let's fill our constructor with following parameters. We will have address, mailable address, we'll have collection, also envelope DTO to set envelope in our Mailable. So, and inside our handle function we will do something similar we did inside our route. So we will build an email inside handle method. Let's import mail. So as you can see, we are doing the same things that we did in here, but to avoid waiting for the response from our API, we will do the whole process inside the handle method. And what I want to do is to add one more method called send, and basically instead of using dispatch method, we will use this send method, and our IDE will help us it will show us the parameters that we need to send. So now inside our route we can simply say that we want transactional email and use send method. And here we can see that my IDE is helping me by showing the parameters that I need to set to this method. So, for example, new address, the template ID, and the data that should be used in my template. At the moment, I don't have queue connection set, so my email sending still will be slow, but in reality, for example, in production environment where the queue connection is set and the queues are working, so this will happen immediately. So the user will see the welcome screen and the email will descend as a background job. So yeah, so let's give it a try. Again, let's refresh our homepage, and yeah, we can see that we have received the same email one more time. And for example, if we want to change something, let's say we want to change amount and we want to have payment methods as a PayPal. Again, let's refresh it. And we see that the amount is 165 and the payment method now is PayPal. So this is how you can use only one Mailable to send any amount of emails, and you don't have to manage those templates inside your code base. What's more to mention is that when you have Mailable classes, you need to cover those classes with the unit tests. So you have extra work to do to write those tests. And what's the most annoying part for me as a developer, for example, is that when you receive the request from your customer or from your product manager to do some adjustments in your email template, for example, to fix some grammar mistake, or to do some adjustments in the text or design. So you need to do those changes. You need to create pull requests to go through the review process. You need to deploy it. So you need to spend quite a lot of time to do small change that isn't actually even development. And in this case, when you're using the service called Templid, these changes can be done on the cloud and you don't need to manage those things inside your code base. What's more, even, for example, person who knows the simple raw HTML, and this may be a project manager, so who can simply log into the dashboard and make some changes to the template, and developer even doesn't know about those changes, and emails will still work. So if you have any questions, please leave your comments below, and thank you for watching. See you in the next videos. Bye.